Hi folks, Tim here, and welcome back to From 8 to 38, the Chronicles of a Young Entrepreneur. This video is going to be a continuation from last week's video about market research, along with another key factor, and I believe it to be the fourth building block of a very strong and successful business, and that's honesty and integrity. Now, we're going to continue with market research first and then jump straight into honesty and integrity. So last week we discussed buying my lawn tractor and buying the snow blower. Right around those same times of being 13 and 14, I purchased a chainsaw and, of course, some of the more basic tools, some hand tools, a wheelbarrow, a leaf blower, a weed whacker, things like that enabled me to continue doing more with my business. So I continued from there, and I had my tractor. I had a little garden cart that I pulled behind it, and I was riding up and down the neighborhood in my tractor, and in the garden cart I could carry my leaf blower, my wheelbarrow, my push mower, all those types of things. And well, actually I was delivering firewood as well. So I was delivering firewood that I had split by hand with this tractor with the garden cart. And at the time I sat down and actually figured out how many loads of firewood in the cart made a full cord. So what I had done is driven stakes into the ground, and I did 6 stakes in the ground, 8 feet apart. So I did 3 stacks that were 8 feet long and 4 feet high, and that's a cord of firewood when you're cutting it at 16 inches. It is 16-inch firewood, 3 rows deep, 8 feet wide, and 4 feet high as a cord. So that was the way I measured it out, and I delivered that around the neighborhood in my tractor. So the year that I bought the snowblower, I was 14, and in that same year, I started working for a gentleman who lived a little further away. He was about a half a mile away, but I would run the tractor down the road, and I would go to his house and work and mow the lawn and do leaves, things like that. I helped him with firewood. I was splitting his firewood for him with his log splitter. And this guy said, you know, I really don't have much use for a log splitter anymore. This pile of wood that we were splitting at the time was going to be the last pile of wood that he was going to be splitting off the property. After that, he had planned to just going to buying it from people because he didn't have a lot of property. So we were splitting up the trees that were cut on his property, and after that, he just didn't have use for a log splitter. So he said, you know, Tim, if you do a certain amount of work for me, then I will trade you the work that you're doing for this log splitter that we're using. So we had a lot of different things going on at my parents' house. We were building a large garden, and we were building an enclosure for our rabbits, and we had chickens. So we had a lot going on at the house, and we had a lot of firewood there. We took down a lot of trees, and I was splitting everything by hand. Now, I guess looking back on it, I was a fairly active 14-year-old. Anyway, this guy says, you know, Tim, I'd be willing to trade you this log splitter for $400 worth of work. Now, his lawn at the time was $15 to mow. So that's a lot of $15 lawn mows. And him and I both recognized that, along with the fact that there was no way that I could work that off in a year for just mowing the lawn. So he said, well, if you can do the spring cleanup, all the lawn mowing, and the fall cleanup, we will consider it an even trade for the log splitter. And you can take it home and start using it as soon as you're done splitting this pile of firewood. So that seemed like a great deal to me. Now, we need to tie market research into this. So I basically figured out, okay, if I'm selling the firewood at $110 a cord, I need to sell 4 cords of it and that would cover the fuel running the machine along with the firewood. And I knew that that would be a fairly easy thing to sell because I was selling 3 or 4 cords a year already. So that was very, very simple as far as the market research goes. But even with the smallest of purchases, you need to think about the market research. So as our lawn mowing business grew, I knew I wanted to expand to a commercial lawnmower rather than the Cub Cadet lawn tractor. So I went back out to the mower shop, the same one that I bought a weed whacker from, and a leaf blower from, and the tractor from, and they sold commercial zero-turn lawnmowers. So I went out and talked to them, and they figured out what I needed, or what I wanted, and then they helped me make the right choice for what my needs actually were. And Exmark, which is the mower manufacturer, was actually doing a model change that year. So there was a mower that was year-end clearance, and they showed me that, and I said, you know what, this is the one I want. But before I say yes, would you guys be willing to hold it for a week while I go back into my neighborhood and check around and see who I can find that would be willing to hire me above and beyond the 15 or 20 lawns that I'm doing? Well, I went back and I went door to door and I knocked on some of the bigger yards and said, I introduced myself, and the people, of course, they knew me because they had seen me working in the neighborhood. And I said, I'm buying this larger machine, or I would like to buy this larger machine. If I do that, would you be willing to hire me to mow your lawn? So it went all the way back to what I did with the tractor and the snowblower. I did it again. Well, we found enough lawns to do that. I went out and bought it. And that was the market research on the log splitter and the Exmark. Now, we have done market research on every single purchase we've made since. And that's something that's really key with a successful business, is when I went from driving the little old Jeep that I was driving with a 6x12 open landscape trailer to then buying my first truck onto the second truck, which had a plow, all the way on to more trucks, bigger machinery. Every single thing we've done, we did a little bit of market research. Sometimes the market research was more extensive. You know, the decision to buy a truck that had a snowplow on it was not a hard decision because I was already snow blowing 20 driveways. So knocked on a couple doors, I picked up a couple more driveways, and we bought a truck with a snowplow on it. So those decisions were really easy to make. So those are my closing thoughts on market research. No matter how small or how big your business is, or how small or how big you want it to be, you need to do market research. And just in closing, I want to talk about the honesty and integrity part a little bit. One of the things that our business offers is house checks. Now, during the winter, when folks go on vacation, they really want the peace of mind that somebody is on the other end of the phone that they can call and say, hey, can you please go in my house and make sure I turned the water off? Or it's going to be a cold snap today. Can you please go in and adjust the thermometer? Things like that. So by working hard and gaining a good name for myself and for our business in the area, the honesty and integrity part is something that just comes along with it. And it goes beyond just being honest. It goes beyond just saying, well, yeah, I've never stolen anything, right? Because when we go in people's houses, I'm sure there are things that we could steal. I'm sure that there are keys to a car that's in the garage, things like that. Now, it goes beyond that because it's not just the things that the material things that you steal. You can change the numbers on an invoice a little bit. You can bill somebody an extra hour, and that is not honest, and that is having no integrity. Okay, so I had to cut a segment out because I was right in the middle of a thought, and about halfway through the sentence, my SD card filled while I was recording this last segment here. So I had to cut the last part of this segment out because I was halfway through my thought and the SD card died, or filled, I should say, in my GoPro camera. So I'm in my office now, and I just wanted to finish up the thought on the honesty and integrity part and how it goes past and beyond just material things. And here in the office is actually a great example. I sit here in the evening or in the morning many times before we go out to work, or sometimes late at night when I can't sleep, I come down and I do some invoicing and billing. And the honesty and integrity part goes past just the material as far as taking something that's not yours, of a piece of jewelry or silver or whatever the case may be. It's also the billing practices. It's the way you keep your notes. Now, we keep multiple levels of notes here. That way I don't make a mistake, because I want to keep real accurate records. Not only is it good for me, it's good for my clients, and I want it to be fair to them. So sometimes I'll have an error in my books where I look at something and it doesn't quite add up. Every single time that happens, I do the old Monopoly, there was a bank error in your favorite thing, to the client. And every time there's an error in my books that doesn't quite add up in my head, or I can't know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we did or did not do something, I won't bill them for it. I'll know for a fact that we mowed this lawn 19 times and I can only find 18 times in my books. You know what? They only get billed 18 times. So that's part of the honesty and integrity side. So if you're going to run a business, every single person you work for needs to know that you're going to be honest and that you are going to run that business with integrity. I can't stress that enough. I think that's one of the reasons that we've been so successful over the years, is following all these different building blocks, but then tying that all in with this final one of the honesty and integrity. You young guys and young girls out there, please take this one to heart. This is so important to me. Again, it goes beyond just stealing something. It goes all the way into stealing time from people, false billing practices, and stealing money that way. Be honest. That's how I'm going to end this video. Be honest. And that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. If you would like me to do more of the in the office videos versus the in the truck videos, please let me know, and I'll try to do that. But again, thank you for watching. From 8 to 38, the Chronicles of a Young Entrepreneur. And I look forward to visiting with you again. I believe our next chapter in this series goes all the way back to the beginning, and it's a few short stories and background of the first few people I worked for and my interactions with them, and how that helped mold me and how it helped form the business into what it is today. So I hope you have a great day. Again, thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe. And if you find these videos at all helpful, please share them with your friends. We definitely want to build up our YouTube channel a little bit. I'd like to see 1,000 subscribers by the end of February, and we are working on that. So I appreciate your help. Thank you again.